Have you ever looked in the mirror and seen a scary creature that isn't you? I am going to tell you all about my experience with the mirror at night. Come along with me as we explore these scary adventures. She looked at the mirror in the night. The mirror horror story. Story 1. Don't look in the mirror. It had to be 3 in the morning, or perhaps closer to 4. A part of me wished for the earlier hours, even if my exhausted mind was still largely in a sleep state. I used the bathroom sink to wash my hands. I tried to keep my cool so that when I finally climbed back into bed, I could simply fall back asleep. I never bothered to switch on the light on the ceiling. The sudden burst of dazzling light would have severely cursed my eyes, making them blind. I had only a modest incandescent nightlight that I had to always have plugged in. There was not much light, just enough to see. I disregarded it, as anyone would, but I did wash my hands carelessly when I caught a glimpse of movement in front of me. The only thing in the mirror was my reflection. I shut off the faucet and turned to walk away when I noticed movement in the mirror once more. I came to a sudden stop. Though the movement I observed was fleeting and slight, I was immediately aware of it because it did not correspond with any movement I had made. I must have been dreaming. My sleep-starved mind had to be fooling me. Something told me to look in the mirror, somewhere between a dare and a demand. My weary mind was unable to determine which. I couldn't quite figure out why I was too afraid to look in the mirror this time. Honestly, the worry was unfounded because it was just my reflection. I tried to ignore my curiosity, but it kept getting greater. I slowly jerked my gaze toward the mirror. Perhaps I anticipated seeing myself in that dimly lit toilet, where my only source of light was a nightlight. Not my best looking, but still very much myself. That was not myself that I saw. Although the person in the mirror looked like me, it was most definitely not me. I looked directly at my mirror and froze. I could first just make out the person's outline in the mirror, due to the extremely little light I had. The person then made eye contact with me and fixed a mesmerizing gaze on me. There was no spirit in the eyes. It was just like a vast, dark, and deep pit. I'm still not sure how to express what I saw. But what I saw in the mirror sent a cold chill down my spine. Story 2. Scrying mirror bleeds truth. There was a reflection in the mirror that wasn't mine. I initially believed it to be only a trick of the light, or that my eyes were deceiving me, because it was late at night. I could tell, though, that the person staring back at me was not me, as I drew in closer. It was a woman, her eyes deep-set and menacing, her hair flowing long and gracefully. Her lips were blood red, and her skin was pale, almost translucent. She had a ghostly appearance, and for an instant, I wondered if I was staring at the reflection of some kind of paranormal being. But the woman in the mirror moved as well, right as I raised my hand to touch the surface. A bolt of excitement shot through my body as her hand extended out to grasp mine. All of a sudden, the space around me started to swirl, and I could feel the mirror pulling me in. I found myself in a new universe when I opened my eyes once more. It was a world that, at once, was both known and unknown. Though everything in the room I was in was a little strange, it was comparable to the one I had just left. Everything was covered in a coating of dust, and the furniture was older. It felt like I was breathing in smoke, with the air being heavy and dense. Stumbling ahead, I tried to orient myself. I discovered there were more mirrors in the space, each reflecting a distinct image of me. As I turned to gaze around, there were the joyful, smiling me, and the depressed or afraid me. And I caught a glimpse of the previous woman in one of the mirrors, standing behind me and wearing a hateful expression. Despite my attempts to retreat, she extended her hand and grasped my arm. Her voice echoed in my mind as she said, "Welcome to my world. I've been waiting for you." I attempted to get free, but her hold was too powerful. Her skin had turned a horrible green tint as she drew me in closer. Her breath felt icy against my face, and her eyes radiated an ethereal brightness. She gestured to the mirror behind her and said, "You see, this mirror is my gateway." I use it to travel between worlds, to find new victims to torment. I opened my mouth to scream, but nothing came out. I could not move or even think since I was stuck in her grip. Her words, "Your world is so boring," went on. "I'm drawn to risk, adrenaline, and thrills, and you're going to give it to me, my love." She threw me in the direction of the mirror with a wave of her wrist. I staggered ahead, and suddenly I found myself back in my world. However, that was not the world I recognized. The room was still there, but it seemed more sinister and dark. The air was heavy with the scent of decay, and the furniture was old and creaking. I could see the previous woman staring at me with a cunning smirk in the mirror. In the days that followed, I started to notice odd things occurring. Doors would creak open and shut, things would move on their own, and I would occasionally hear weird whispering in the night. And each time I glanced in the mirror, I saw the otherworldly woman staring at me with lifeless, icy eyes. I made an effort to dismiss it and convince myself that it was all in my head. However, as time passed, the situation grew worse. The woman in the mirror started to seep into my reality, her spectral presence growing more palpable. One night, she was standing at the foot of my bed when I woke up. She was no longer just a reflection in the mirror. Instead, she was a real person in front of me, her eyes unsettling, and her skin hideously green. She said, "You cannot escape me," and I felt shivers run down my spine. "I will always find you no matter where you go." My throat felt like it was closing when I tried to scream. I attempted running, but I had lead-like legs. There I was, helpless against her. For several weeks, the woman in the mirror haunted me. She always had that devious look on her face and would show up at the most unexpected times. She would make fun of me, telling me how she had entered my life and taken it over. I was aware that this could not continue. I had to figure out how to get out of her clutches and send her back into her own universe for good. So I started doing some research. I studied literature about exorcisms, banishments, and old spells and incantations. I reached out to paranormal specialists to ask for their counsel. I finally found what I was seeking after weeks of searching. It was a ritual, one that would seal the portal between both of our worlds forever and send the woman back to her own. It was a risky endeavor with the potential for failure. However, I was aware that this was my only opportunity. So I got ready for the ceremony one evening. I drew symbols on the floor and lit candles. My voice quivered with dread and excitement as I recited the incantation. I waited after that. Nothing happened for hours, it seemed. However, I sensed an abrupt change in the atmosphere. The atmosphere grew cooler as the candles flickered. Subsequently, I perceived a scream, a spine-tingling cry that appeared to originate from the depths of the mirror. After that, it was done. Once again, the room was quiet, and all that was visible in the mirror was my reflection. I was aware that the woman had vanished, exiled to her own realm. However, the encounter had altered me. I had changed from who I had been to someone else. I will never forget what I have seen and experienced. And I knew that the memory of the woman who had entered my world and the haunted glass would follow me for the rest of my life, no matter how hard I tried to forget. So next time, try not to look into your bedroom mirror at night while the lights are off or a dim light is on. What do you think about these mirror stories? Let us know in the comment section below. Do you love scary stories? Check out our previous video